Here's a shocking reality. That 7% dividend yield you're eyeing could actually destroy your portfolio. Why? Because high yields often mask hidden risk, weak businesses, stretch out payout ratios, or even looming dividend cuts. Now compare that with companies that start with a modest 1 to 2% yield but grow payouts year after year. Over time, those so-called boring dividend growers often pay far more in income than the flashy high-yield traps. Stay with me because I'll show you how one example, Visa versus Verizon, reveals how dividend growth can quietly outpace yield. Segment 1, Intro. Hello fellow compounders, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Dennis Chen, a former hedge fund manager, CFA charter holder, and Wharton MBA. On this channel, we cut through the noise to help you build lasting wealth through smart, long-term strategies. Before we dive deeper, I need to give you a quick disclaimer. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not financial, investment, or tax advice. All tickers and examples are hypothetical and for illustration only. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results, and always do your own research and consult a qualified financial professional before making any decisions. And if you want to go even deeper into strategies like this with me and a community of like-minded investors, check out the Always Be Compounding Club online community. We meet several times a month for live Q&A sessions, research discussions, and portfolio strategy. The link is in the description. All right, so let's get started. Segment 2, the yield trap problem. Let's start with the yield trap. A high dividend yield often looks like easy money. At first glance, a stock paying 7% feels like a steady paycheck that solves your income challenge. Why should anyone settle for 2% when 7% is sitting right there? The problem is that the headline number rarely tells the whole story. What matters is whether that payout is sustainable, and that's where the risks hide. The reality is that extremely high yields often come from businesses under pressure. Companies paying out most of their earnings as dividends, little room to reinvest or protect themselves during downturns. Some carry heavy debt loads and use large dividends to attract investors even as their fundamentals weaken. And in industries facing headwinds, whether oil producers during a price collapse or telecom companies fighting declining revenues, yields can spike because share prices are falling while the dividend hasn't yet been reduced. This is why yield can be so deceptive. Picture this, a stock priced at $50 is paying $3.50 in dividends. That's a 7% yield. But if the company's financial outlook worsens and the stock falls to $35, that same dividend now shows up as a 10% yield. On the surface, it looks even more attractive. Wow, 10% income. But the falling price is actually a warning sign that the business is weakening. Eventually, management may be forced to cut the payout, leaving you with less income and a smaller account value. The real danger is not just the dollar loss, but the behavioral trap. Investors see that high yield and think it's a bargain. But in reality, it's often a sign that both the income and the capital are at risk. Data backs this up. CIBC Investor's Edge has warned that dividend sustainability is more important than starting yield. S&P research during the 2019 to 2020 stress period found that many companies in high yield indices ended up cutting payouts, while dividend growth companies were far less likely to do so. And these cuts aren't just theoretical. They happen most often in companies where yields look highest. Now, to be fair, context matters. Some research, like studies from O'Shaughnessy Asset Management, shows that in certain long-term periods, top yielding stocks as a group sometimes outperform. But here's the key. The winners weren't simply the highest yielders. They were the financially strong high yielders. The losers were often companies clinging to unsustainable payouts. The lesson is simple. Chasing yield alone without looking at financial strength, payout ratios, and growth potential often leads to disappointment. Which raises the question, if high yields are risky, how can we build income that actually grows stronger over time? Segment 3, the dividend growth solution. That's where the dividend growth comes in. What if starting with a modest 1 to 2% yield today could eventually translate into a double-digit yield on your original investment? That's the promise of dividend growth investing. Instead of maximizing the size of the payout up front, this strategy focuses on companies with the ability to raise dividends year after year. These businesses usually show consistent earnings growth, disciplined cash use, and track record of rewarding shareholders. At first, the quarterly income may seem unimpressive. 1% or 2% doesn't move the needle for many investors, but the real value is in the trajectory. As payments grow steadily, your yield on cost expands, and that growth compounds into meaningful long-term income. Of course, some investors hesitate. If one stock offers a 1% yield today and another offers 5%, the choice feels obvious. But dividend growers often come from stronger financial positions, lower payout ratios, healthier free cash flow, and more conservative balance sheets. Research from S&P and T. Rowe Price shows these companies not only generate reliable cash, but also carry less debt. That gives them resilience in downturns and flexibility in strong years to increase distributions. The trade-off is smaller income today, but in exchange, you're buying durability and growth that often proves more valuable decades later. The comparison between Visa and Verizon makes this crystal clear. According to Starlight Capital's research, Visa began paying dividends in 2008 with a yield of just 0.2%, almost negligible. Verizon, at the same time, offered a 5 to 6% yield. For income-focused investors, Verizon looked like the obvious winner. But over the following 15 years, Visa raised its dividend aggressively. By 2023, the yield on cost for Visa shareholders had climbed above 12%. Verizon's, meanwhile, ended up around 7.8%. In other words, the company that started with a tiny yield, Visa, ended up paying out more to long-term shareholders than the company with the high yield at the beginning. And this isn't an isolated story. Many so-called dividend aristocrats, that means companies that have raised payouts for 25 years or more, follow a similar pattern. Their initial yields might look boring, but over time, the compounding power of consistent increases turns them into income machines. And don't forget the reinvestment effect. Dividends that are reinvested buy more shares, and those shares generate more dividends of their own. Over time, that loop becomes a snowball rolling downhill. T. Rowe Price found that reinvested dividends accounted for about 46% of the S&P 500's total return across 3 decades. Nearly half of the investor wealth creation came not from stock prices going up, but from dividends compounding and multiplying. Dividend growth isn't just about bigger checks. It's about building resilience. Companies that steadily raise payouts usually have recurring free cash flow, lower leverage, and strong operational discipline. They're able to maintain and grow dividends through different economic cycles. So while dividend growth may look boring at first, it often turns out to be the smarter path. But how does it stack up directly against high yield when you put them side by side? Segment 4, Portfolio Showdown, Growth versus Yield. Let's pit the two approaches head to head. A dividend growth portfolio focuses on companies with established histories of raising dividends. Think Johnson & Johnson, PepsiCo, Visa. They often start with payouts in the 1 to 3% range. At first, it doesn't impress income seekers, but the magic is consistency. Because earnings grow and management raises distributions year after year, the compounding effect gathers pace. Over decades, what began as modest checks can become a powerful income stream. On the other hand, a yield-driven portfolio leans heavily on REITs, telecoms, or utilities. These stocks may offer 5 to 7% right out of the gate. And for investors who need income today, that can feel like an obvious win. But these payouts often have less flexibility, with little room to increase, and higher vulnerability to economic stress. The income stream can stagnate or worse, shrink. We've already seen the Visa versus Verizon example, but Canadian research highlights the same pattern. Starlight Capital compared Alimentation Couche-Tard, I probably messed that up, but let's go with it, a dividend growth company with BCE, one of Canada's high-yield telecoms. Couche-Tard outperformed BCE by roughly 18% in total return, while also showing stronger risk-adjusted performance. Why? Because growth compounds. And let's not forget the risk side of the equation. S&P's research shows dividend growth companies typically carry lower debt levels and face fewer cuts during downturns. That means their income streams are more reliable even in turbulence. High-yield names might pay more today, but they often come with higher exposure to cuts if conditions deteriorate. Now, this doesn't mean high yield has no place. If you need income right now to cover living expenses in retirement, for example, carefully selected high yield stocks can play a role in your portfolio. But growth has consistently proven more durable as the core of a dividend strategy. Segment 5, Conclusion. So what's the takeaway? Research shows that dividend growth often outperforms a pure high-yield approach over long horizons. Rising payouts compound steadily and usually come from higher quality firms with stronger balance sheets. This helps protect purchasing power and builds resilience that high-yield stocks often lack. If you need immediate income, a selective allocation to high-yield names makes sense. But for building lasting wealth, prioritize sustainability and dividend growth. So let me leave you with this. Which matters more to you today? More cash in your pocket right now or rising income stream that grows stronger for decades to come? Tell me in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend. Don't forget to hit subscribe, give it a like, and join us in the Always Be Compounding Club online community, where we go deeper into strategies like this with live Q&A sessions and member discussions. And remember, the key to building wealth is simple. Always be compounding. See you in the next video. Take care.